back to my channel. I'm Amber. Please excuse the way I sound. I am sick. I got a cold out of nowhere yesterday, and today we are feeling the effects still. So, I wanted to come at you with some thoughts. I'm reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I tried to do some vlogging last week while I was reading, but I didn't get very far and my thoughts were kind of jumbled. So I wanted to revisit and just kind of start over. I'm at chapter 5, so the Whomping Willow when they get to Hogwarts. And I've had some thoughts. Harry is in a very abusive situation. The Dursleys are, in my opinion, abusive. They're terrible. They're constantly treating Harry as if, you know, he's wrong, and anything he says or does is, you know, they explode at him and it's wrong and he shouldn't be speaking or thinking or acting. He should just be a mindless blob. And I just wish that the Dursleys would get their comeuppance, honestly. And I know I'm saying that as having read the ending last year, and so it's still fresh in my mind. I wish the Dursleys had gotten appropriate consequences for their abusive behavior. I wish they had really gotten called out for the way they treat Harry. And going off of that, it's interesting, with the way Harry is treated, he does not treat other people like that, which takes a lot of fortitude, a lot of personal strength. And so the fact that, you know, Harry doesn't treat Dobby poorly, like, yeah, he's frustrated, annoyed that he's there, but he's not being mean, he's not being snide, he's not, you know, treating Dobby as lesser. He's very, you know, polite. Please have a seat. Oh, you know, please don't hurt yourself. Like, what's going on? And for his position, I thought that was very admirable. Sorry, I sound froggy, which is not the best. But I love Dobby. Like, Dobby is one of my favorite characters. He's just the sweetest, and he has the best intentions, even though he serves this awful family. Yeah, it, again, like, good people coming out of terrible situations. Like, you would think somebody in Dobby's position would take up the mannerisms and the thoughts and whatnot of the wizards he serves, but he doesn't. I also have to wonder how old Dobby is. How old do house elves, how old are house elves? Do they have a similar lifespan to people? Yeah, that's just kind of my thought process right now. And then going off of that to, the Weasleys are literally my favorite family. Like, Molly and, oh, what's her husband's name? Arthur. Molly and Arthur Weasley are just the sweetest, brightest spot in the series. Like, they're such a wonderful families and whatnot. And so I love the personalities and the distinct individual kind of personalities and behaviors and characters that are the Weasleys. And so, yeah, I don't know how popular that opinion is. I don't know if people disagree with me. They probably do. Some people probably think Molly Weasley's the worst human being ever, and she's just as annoying as Voldemort, but whatever. You know, I can only do so much, you know? But the fact that the Weasleys just take Harry in and they treat him like family and they just pour out love and acceptance on him is just, it warms my heart. On the other hand, I know Harry's only, like, what, 12 in this book? But part of me is like, he sees how poor the Weasleys are. Like, shouldn't he feel like, you know what, I have all this extra money. Maybe if I give a little to the Weasleys, or, you know, maybe if, you know, I offer to buy the books, or I offer to buy Ron new robes or something. Like, I understand that he's a child, and he's under no obligation to do adult responsibilities, take on an adult role. I will say that I feel bad that Harry is constantly pulled into situations where his being famous is all that's recognizable about him. They don't recognize him as, like, a child and, like, you know, having his own desires and his own wants. They're like, oh, you're famous, of course you should be in the spotlight. Like, of course, like, we should, you know, commend you for all that you're doing. And it's like, he's just a normal kid, and honestly, he's not even the best and brightest. Like, he's famous for something that's out of his control. Excuse me. And so, I don't know. I kind of find it annoying that he's just constantly, like, his being famous is brought up and he's thrown into the limelight. And I feel like it starts to turn his head a little bit. And it starts to make him a little pompous. And, not yet in this book, but later on down the line, I think it does a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to keep reading. I'll probably update you in a little bit. That's all I'm thinking for right now. Yeah, I'll get back to you later. So it's been like a minute or two, and I'm a little bit farther in, and this is like the second or third time in less than 100 pages that it has said that Harry doesn't like Snape, and Snape doesn't like Harry. And guess what? Snape is described as cruel, sarcastic, and disliked by everybody. And Ron even says, everyone hates him. Like, Snape's the worst. He's absolutely atrocious. He is just unkind and unfair, and yeah, he hates Harry, but he doesn't, like, you know, treat him fairly. He's like, oh, I don't like you, so I'm going to purposefully look for reasons to take away house points. I'm going to look for reasons to try to get you expelled. I'm going to look for reasons to basically just be a giant dick. Hi friends, it's Wednesday now. Forgive my wet hair and my messy appearance. I just got out of the shower. But I wanted to check in with you. Last night I got to page 210 in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And this is about the point where Harry, Ron, and Hermione have made the Polyjuice Potion. It's winter break. They're about to set a trap for Malfoy because Malfoy is a racist, if I can use that word. I don't know what the correct term is when it comes to, like, you know, pure blood versus mud blood. I don't know what the terminology is for in the wizarding world, whether it's racist or whether it's, like, elitist or whatnot. But Malfoy's continuing to just be a giant douchebag. Snape is continuing to be a giant douchebag. Like, he's you know, he leers, he sneers, his lip curls. He's constantly looking for like, he looks murderous. Just the way he's described is unpleasant. It's not nice. It's not, it's not like he can change. It's very much, this is how he is. He's set in his ways, and nobody likes him. And along that vein of nobody likes him, let's jump over to Gilderoy Lockhart. Gilderoy Lockhart, I know a lot of people like him. He's just hilarious because he's so terrible. Like, he's so obviously just a talker. He talks the talk, even if he can't walk the walk. But he kind of, like, gets by with not actually doing anything. And he's rubbing the other teachers the wrong way. And I think they kind of get that he can't really do it, you know? So, and by do it, I mean he can't really perform magic to the degree that he says he can. And I don't know, I just find Gilderoy Lockhart kind of pompous and conceited and very arrogant. And, like, it's one thing to know that you're good, but it's another thing to just be really, like, boastful and showy and inappropriate. And, he crosses that line. He does. He very much crosses that line. And I don't think he's a lovable character. Yeah, he's hilarious because you're like, oh my gosh, look at this guy make a fool of himself. But at the same time, it's cringy because you're like, oh, this guy's making a fool of himself. I don't know. That's just kind of my take on it. I'm enjoying this so far. I am getting some insights. You can tell, like, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, it's the second book. Harry doesn't quite have that trust with Dumbledore yet, but he's building it. So he's not quite giving Dumbledore all the information. But of course, Dumbledore's also not giving Harry all the information, which is no surprise, because Harry is a child and Dumbledore is an adult. And Harry can't be expected to just handle all this on his own. But at the same time, just like the coincidences, like Harry finds out he's a Parseltongue, but he can't even like hear himself like using a different language because it just sounds normal to him. And then everybody else is like, oh my gosh, like he was totally edging that snake on to like attack Justin and Finch Fletchley, and it's like, and then he's the next one that turns up, you know, attacked, and it's just like those little coincidences that make it seem like Harry's the one behind all of it is really interesting, and the subtlety and the intrigue is really good. It's very well written, very well done. And there are, like, in the first book, they learn about werewolves. In the second book, you know, Harry has to, like, act out these scenes with Gilderoy Lockhart so that he'll sign their paper to get a book from the restricted section to make the Polyjuice Potion. And it mentions werewolves again. And then in the third book, the next book, there's a werewolf situation. So it's interesting how she, like, guides the reader towards future events. Especially with, like, Harry's, like, this isn't the first time, like, I felt like Harry or Snape can read my mind. And even Dumbledore is, like, it felt like he was being X-rayed. That's all I really have for right now. I'm gonna try to finish this either today, probably tonight. I might take another bath and read more, but, I am watching a show. I am still sick, so I'm getting over that. As you can probably hear, I sound so froggy and so gross. But, yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. I'm excited. Poor Ginny. Poor Ginny. That's all I gotta say. I'll talk to you all in a little bit. Update time. So it is Friday. And I should have updated yesterday. I finished Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets Wednesday night, but I didn't update yesterday because I still wasn't feeling well, and I was having just a really bad mental health day. You'll have to excuse my appearance. I showered, but my hair is, since it's growing out, it's just sticking up all over the place, and I've got some lovely scratch marks. I had to cut my son's nails because his nails got too long, obviously. But, moving on from that, I enjoyed this. I still think that Professor Lockhart is an absolute joke, and he's just kind of there for comic relief, which I can appreciate, but it's still like, he obviously just annoys everyone in Harry Potter. Just like, all the teachers are like, this guy, like, seriously? We don't like him? We can't really say anything. And I think it's interesting, though, that because he's a joke as a wizard, because he's more like just a celebrity, just a pretty face, but at the same time, like, he's really good at memory charms. Like, yeah, even the crappy wizards who are kind of jokes, they do have their little niche, and so I do appreciate that. But I love that Hagrid stands up for Harry. Moaning Myrtle is hilarious, okay? Moaning Myrtle, I feel for her, man. Like, she's just this hilarious character. Her and all the ghosts just make me so happy, because I'm like, they add just this nice flavor and this nice depth and this nice history, and it creates a roundness to the world that I really, really appreciate. Also, I've encountered a few times just like a teacher will like snap their finger and like a fire will appear, or they'll like, you know, wave their hand and you know, something will move, or something like simple magic. But it's like, okay, I know, like, each witch or wizard, like, has this inherent ability. Like, when in the first book, Harry was told, like, have you ever made things happen that you didn't mean to make things happen? Like, that you didn't mean to happen, for them to happen? And so, yeah, they all have this inherent magic, like, this natural ability to make, like, small things happen, but it's the wand that allows them to concentrate that magic from themselves and, like, perform great feats, you know what I'm saying? Like transfiguration and charms and such. Or, like, is the wand the accessory, or is the wand the source of power? Or is it a little bit of both? Because the wand is a magical item in its own right, as we find out later on in the series. Like, wand lore is very rich and very complex. And Ollivander, the wand maker, is incredibly knowledgeable. He remembers every wand he's ever made. And so in this, Ron's wand breaks, but it's still capable of magic. It's just, like, I don't want to say bastardized magic, but, like, defunct magic, I think is what I'm trying to go for. Defunct magic. And so that's interesting. But at the same time, like, Ron needs another wand. So it's like, okay, this wand broke, but this wand chose you. Will another wand choose you? Like, how does that work? But yeah, there's just a lot of questions I have. And you can really see that in this one, in Chamber of Secrets, that Harry is coming to trust Dumbledore as a source of power, as an authority figure, as someone who he can trust, because Dumbledore holds a certain amount of, I don't want to say respect, because it's more fear. Like, the bad guys fear Dumbledore. So Harry kind of takes that as, oh, if they're really afraid of him and they won't try anything around him, then that means I'm safe. That must mean, like, you know, he's really good. That means I can trust him. I don't know if quite he has confidant. I don't think he's become a confidant to Harry quite yet. Yeah. So I don't know. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed Dobby. I love Dobby. The fact that we find out that his masters are the Malfoys, and just how much he's abused and how much he's threatened. He says, "Oh, I get like 5 death threats a day at home." Oh my gosh! Like, he's treated like vermin. He's treated like a pest. Just, like, I don't like that. I don't like the Malfoys. We're not supposed to like the Malfoys. We're supposed to see problems with them. That elitist mentality, that condescension, that not like a good condescension, but like that superiority complex, that god complex almost. I don't like that whatsoever. But yeah. Just the way Harry treats Dobby, I have to like Harry for that. Like, Harry does treat people lesser than him kindly, and I do appreciate Harry for that. Of course, I love Hermione because she's a know-it-all, and she's so hungry for knowledge, and she's constantly reading and expanding her mind. And I was actually talking to my husband about this last night. I was like, Harry's just dumb. Like, he and Ron are average students. They very much have to work for their grades. They very much have to work for the bare minimum, almost, basically. Which is why I think it's so frustrating, because for me, I'm like, you're this average student, you're barely getting by, and there's nothing wrong with being an average student, by the way. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But for me, I see this situation, and it's hard for me to grasp, because I'm like, you know there's an evil out there, so you know you have to learn as much as possible and expand your knowledge about the wizarding world and expand your abilities so that you can face it head on. And I think as the series goes on, that's where my frustration lies, because he's having to face this evil, the Voldemort and all his followers, instead of his studies. And so his studies take a back seat, but because he's an average student, because, you know, he's not inherently, like, intelligent and book savvy. Not intelligent, but, like, book savvy. Like Hermione is, I think, like, the fact that he's at school just kind of seems pointless, you know? Like, yeah, it's a good thing he's there. Yeah, it's a good thing, like, he's being forced to, like, expand his abilities, expand his mind. But he's so distracted from that his schooling isn't quite necessarily helping him. At least that's my opinion. And this is just me, like, kind of spewing forward into the books. Like, I'm talking about books before, like, the series that I haven't quite gotten to the reread of yet. And so, I don't know, in this, like, it's good to see that he's still focusing on his studies, but you can see him getting distracted by other things. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. We're just gonna be done with this, because I already started Prisoner of Azkaban last night. I'm already, like, 100 pages in. And so I've kind of already moved on from this. It was a good one. Not my favorite. Ginny's adorable. Ginny's very real. Yeah. Hermione, Ginny, I love them both. I love the female characters. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Thanks for watching. I'm really enjoying my reread of Harry Potter. It's not going as quickly as I thought, which is completely fine. It's not going as slow as I thought it might, so that's good. I'm enjoying just kind of getting my thoughts out there and kind of expanding, like, what questions I have, noticing little things, being like, why is that so? How does that happen? And so, yeah, I've really enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to continuing on in Prisoner of Azkaban. I'll probably talk about this in my next video. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do kind of a kind of vlog style like I did with Chamber of Secrets for Prisoner of Azkaban. But we'll see. So I'm gonna put this down. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed having a chat with you. I realize this is a bajillion years long and no one's ever gonna watch it, but thanks. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.